On today's installment of Weekend Workshop, you're going to learn how to play one of the best Marty Friedman solos ever, Symphony of Destruction by Megadeth. Hey guys, and welcome to a brand new installment of Weekend Workshop. Here with your best buddy in the whole world, Uncle Ben. On today's episode, we're going to be taking a look at how to play Marty Friedman's solo from Symphony of Destruction from his time with Megadeth, which is one of my favorite solos of his. It's kind of covered in a lot of his trademark isms, like his bends and his vibrato and his arpeggio use, and even some of his hot, scalding blues licks that he incorporates from time to time. There's a lot of bad tabs for this one out there. I myself, several years ago, put out a lesson for it that was pretty close, but not exactly right, especially when it got to some of the arpeggio sections and stuff. So I figured I would make amends with my wrongful past by giving you guys a 100% completely accurate lesson on how to play this beast today. But before we get into it, let's hear it again at Stepdad speed. And as always, you guys can find a full tab for this week's lesson over on my Instagram page. Be sure to follow me at Ben Eller Guitars, find the tab for this week's lesson, then upload a video of yourself shredding through it along with the hashtag WeekendWankShop. And I'm sure a lot of you guys are going to be asking me about the cool backing track that I was using during the intro segment here where I was playing over the solo. That's something that I made in conjunction with a couple of friends for an app that's going to be coming out later on this year, probably around August 2018, called Easy Tracks, which is going to be a really cool app that lets you basically take apart, track by track pieces of songs so you can learn just a bass part or just a guitar part, slow it down and all kinds of stuff. Myself and a couple other dudes are working really hard to make these super accurate, note by note transcriptions of these songs so you guys can learn them really accurately. So be sure to watch out for Easy Tracks coming up later this year. So one thing I want you guys to really watch for as you learn this solo is Marty's use of implied harmony, which is something that he does all the time in his soloing that I think really sets him apart from other metal lead guitar players. Seems like a lot of lead guitar players in metal, it's like the only question that they ask is, what key is it in? And they hear E, and so all of their licks tend to, center around E all the time. And that works a lot of times. But the way that Marty plays is actually a lot more like how a gypsy jazz player plays, where they don't really even ask what key it's in, they just kind of ask what the chords are, you know what I mean? And it's interesting in this particular tune, because if you listen to Dave Mustaine's guitar riff in the rhythm section, it's just going... It's not really saying much other than E. The whole solo section on rhythm guitar just sounds like E. But if you check out what Dave Ellefson is playing on bass, he's playing E, G, C, and A underneath that riff. And it seems like Marty made the decision to solo against that rather than just this, kind of boring E riff that's going on behind it in Mustaine's part. And again, this is something that I think really makes Marty's playing unique, is he tends to be very arpeggio and chord centered. So as we go through these licks, I want you guys to be noticing what Ellefson is playing in the bass behind it, and think about what these notes Marty is choosing to play mean on top of that particular root note, rather than just going, oh, this is in the key of E, I guess I can use all this stuff in E. Don't really look at it that way. Look at each individual lick as something that works over a C, or an A, or a G, or whatever it is that Dave is playing in the bass. Okay, so the solo starts off with you playing the 7th fret on the G string here, and you're gonna slide it into 9. And as soon as you get up there, start applying some heavy vibrato with the left hand and pick it 3 more times. So it sounds like this. After this, we're gonna do another slide. We're gonna play that 7 on the G, sliding to 9. Pick it again. And then what you're gonna do is to pick that 9 and pull off to 7. Play the 9 on the D. And then you're gonna play the 6 on the G string with a half step bend really slowly. So now you have this. Then we have this lick. So this is me grabbing the 5 on the B and the 7 on the G. We've got to strike those 2 strings together and bend just the G string up a whole step until they sound out in unison together. Just like that. Just do that one time before you go down here to the 3rd fret G and bend it up a half step slowly. So there's a strategy Marty does all the time. He's already done it twice in the solo, where instead of just simply hitting a note that he's after, he would much rather play the note a half step below it and bend it up to that note just to add some interest. He does it a couple more times throughout the course of the solo too, so be on the lookout for that. So far you should have this. After this, we get this open position lick. Now, I'm palm muting the G right here, and I'm playing open, 2, open. And then gonna grab that 2 again and give it a half step. Well, it's really more like a quarter step bend. Let it back down, and then bend it up a slow half step. So it's a little bend, and then a big bend. Again, a big Friedmanism here. That first note you bend to is a quarter step. It's not even really in tune. Then you gotta play this. So this is that 2 on the G string again, half step bend, open G, and then on the D string here you're gonna play 2, open 2. Now the note that's in between right there, the 2, open 2 on the D, it's kind of up for debate. If you listen to the isolated track, it just kind of sounds like a ghost note, like that. I hear some live versions where he does play like what we're doing. I hear some other live versions where he plays the open G right there. So, you know, use your best judgment with choosing which note to play. I think most of the time I've heard him play it 2, open 2, so that's what I go with. So the next lick right here is kind of also a hotly debated one that I've seen a lot of different tabs for. But from watching Marty play this in various different live concerts, pretty sure this is the fingerings and stuff that he's using. Now, I know a lot of people say this is him using the Hirajoshi scale, this Japanese scale and all this stuff. I honestly don't think that Marty really thinks about it that way. Marty's not like a very scalar player. The more you learn his stuff, the more you figure out that he plays like a gypsy jazz player, where he plays more arpeggio based than anything, and thinks about choosing notes that would extend the sound of that chord and stuff. So for example, like in the bass right here, this is where Dave Ellefson is playing an A. So this entire lick we're about to play, you know, is taking place over that A chord. So if you look at those notes that he's using, you get like a minor third, a fifth, a sixth. That's a natural 6, not a minor 6. There's your root again. There's your minor third again. There's your 5th again. There's your 6th again. Basically everything that he's doing here just kind of spells out like an A minor 6 kind of sound more than anything, which again is a very popular, you know, gypsy jazz kind of sound. So that's kind of food for thought about that. So what you're going to do is you're going to slide into the 10th fret on the D string from no particular fret. It doesn't have to be from anywhere. Just be sure to slide up to 10. Next, what you're going to do is to play the 9 on the G and hammer it to 11. Go back to that 10 on the D. Your 9 hammering to 11 on the G again. So you got 10 on the B, 8 on the E, then 12 on the E. So now you get this phrase. This is followed by, so this is me going back to that 10 on the B again, 8 on the E, 12 on the E, sliding up a whole step to 14, pull back off to 12, 13 B, 12 high E. This is a pretty complex phrase. So that's pretty straight rhythmically. The next part is not. So basically after that phrase that we played, you're gonna play the 14 on the high E, hammer on to 17, pull back off to 14, pull back off to 12, and then it sounds like he barely grabs the 13th fret on the B string right here. So notice that was not straight timing. It's kind of like this guy hangs, and then everybody else after it rushes. Now this phrase right here, what you're going to do is you're going to, let me play into it. Yeah, just slide up to 20. Then you're going to play the 17 on the high E, hammer on pull off to 20, 19B, 21G, and then the 17 on the G. So that whole phrase should sound like this. And again, even the stuff that he plays up top here, I know a lot of guitar players see this and they think, you know, diminished or whatever, but this is not a diminished kind of thing. Against A, all that stuff spells out A minor 6. So you're through with the first half of the solo, and it should sound something like this, starting with the sliding licks. And the crazy lick. That leads you up to these arpeggios that take place on the top 3 strings of the guitar here. Now in my old lesson I had it going from here to like this position on G and B strings. I was wrong about that. He plays these all in the kind of 10th position here. So what we're going to start off with is this lick. Okay, so what I'm doing here is I've got my first finger kind of anchored down on the 10th fret B string, right? And I've got to play the 12 on the B, pulling off to 10. 12 on the G, back to 10 on the B. So that's, then do that again before you reach up to this. So this is the 15 on the B pulling to 10, 12th G, same thing again, 15 pulling to 10, then the 12 on the G, and then play the 14 on the B pulling to 10. So that's, notice when I played that first lick right there, I wasn't using the same finger, like that. I tend to like to use my ring and middle fingers, because it makes it easier when you go to this, because this finger's already been playing the G string, you know? Next up, you're gonna play this. It's essentially the same thing, just drop down to the top 2 strings. So I got my first finger held down on the 10th fret high E. I'm gonna do a 12th fret pull off to 10 on the E, 12th B, 10th high E, same lick again, 12 pulling to 10 on the E, 12th B, 10th high E, so that's, and then just like before, reach up here to 15 pulling to 10, 12th B, 15 pulling to 10, 12th B, and then 14 pulling to 10. So that's, and then we enter into this really lethal G arpeggio part. Now again, implied harmony like crazy right here. This is where Dave in the bass is playing a G note. So Marty just decides, oh, he must mean G major, and plays this G major arpeggio assault. This part is really, really hard, and it took me a lot of takes to get a good clean one because of all the position shifts here. And if we're being completely honest here, there's also a lot of live versions of Marty playing it where he kind of simplifies some of these licks down to like 2-note arpeggios rather than 3-note ones. So I think we can all agree it's pretty dang tough to play. It sounds like this. It's horrible to play at high speeds. So the first G arpeggio here is going to be based around this. I'm playing the 15 on the high E, pulling to 10, 12 on the B, and then 10 on the high E. So that's 15, 10, 12, 10. Now those 3 notes represent a G triad. G, B, and D are the root third and fifth of the G triad. So whenever he moves into all these other positions, he's still playing those same notes. They're all G, B, or D. He's just moving it into all these different areas because it's way more interesting than just sweep picking up and down an arpeggio like everybody else does. Okay, so after that first G, big position shift. So this is me playing the 19 on the high E, pulling to 15, 15 B, 15 high E. And then this one. This is your next inversion of a G arpeggio. You're going to play the 22 on the high E, pulling to 19, 20 on the B, then the 19 on the high E again. So now you have 3 different inversions of G. Missed that high one there, didn't I? There it is. Then this. This is where it gets really lethal because this position shift just doesn't make any sense at all. And again, I've watched a lot of live videos. I've seen the position shifts that he does. I don't know, I can't explain it. You can play these notes a lot of different ways. Probably if you're a really adept sweeper, you can figure out some cool ways to do this, but this seems to be how he does it. So this is me playing the 20 on the B string, pulling to 15, 16 G, 17 B. Again, it's pretty common G shape. That position shift is so lethal because you're going from, essentially the 19th position to the 15th position. Makes no sense. Another big shift here. Play the 15 on the B, pulling to 12. Notice I'm preemptively kind of barring B, G, and D strings right here with my first finger. That's to make up for what I'm about to do here. So play the 15 on the B, pulling to 12, 12th G, 12th D. Kind of do one of those finger rolls right there. Then you got to play the 14 on the D, 12, 11, hammering to 12. Actually, I'm sorry, that's a slide right there. 14, 12, 11, slide back into 12. Then you got to grab that 14 on the G and give it a slow whole step bend. So it's... Again, those shifts right there are so hard, so let's play that again together starting from the first G. Madness. Next we get to this kind of weird bluesy flat 5 evil thing that he plays here. This is a really confusing one, so I'm going to have to jump in and out of this a few times to make sure I stay on track. Start off by sliding into the 15th fret G, pull off to 12, 14th D, then you got to play the 12 on the G, hammering to 15, 12th B, 13th B, pulling back off to 12. So that's... Then you got to play that 15 on the G again, pulling to 12, 14th D, then you got to play up all that same stuff again. 12 on the G, hammering to 15, 12th B, hammering on to 13, 12th high E now, going a little bit further in the scale. Then we're going to descend down here. We're going to play 13 on the B, pulling to 12. Let me play into that again here. Then you got to play the 15 pulling off to 12 on the G again. And then you got to play this. And how I played that was to play the 14th D, 12 on the G, hammer on to 14, hammer on to 15. this is kind of straightforward phrasing compared to what you've been doing. 12th B, 12th high E. 15th B pulling off to 12. Then you're gonna play 15th G, 14th G, pull off to 12, 14th D. Then you're gonna play that 13 on the G string here with a half step bend. Again, it's not cool enough just to play this A note. He wants to play A flat and bend into it like that. That's just one of those cool Friedman isms. He's got one last bluesy lick here to shut her down. Now you're gonna start off by kind of barring the top two strings here with your first finger. You're gonna play the 12 on the high E, 15 on the B, pulling to 12. Then you're gonna go back to that 15th B and give it a whole step bend. It's kind of slow. Then after this, you're gonna play the 12 on the high E, 15 on the B, pulling to 12. And this time you're gonna put your bend on the 14th G. You can kind of do that with just like your middle finger if you're strong enough for that kind of thing. Then you're gonna do essentially the same lick you just played 2 more times. Yeah, and then the very last one you do here is the 12 on the high E, 15 pulling to 12 on the B. And then what you're gonna do is to grab the 14G and 15B and grab just the G string and bend it up a whole step. So I start off by hitting 14G, 15B, and I just bend just the G string only up a whole step. So these are all built on kind of the setup that you've heard in a million Stevie and Angus Young solos. The first one has the B, next one has the G, next one has G, next one has G, the next one has the double stop. And it's kind of slide off at the end right there. Now I recommend kind of picking it like this. If you start with 2 upstrokes, then come down with a downstroke on the bend. Same with those, up, up, down, up, up, down. I think that makes that a lot easier to play fast. And that is the entire thing. So let's kind of break it up again here, kind of section by section. Starting off with the sliding licks. Little quarter step, half step, Hirajoshi stuff, crazy arpeggio goodness here on G and B, then the G stuff, bluesy madness, and blues licks. Thank you guys as always for watching. Be sure to like this video and subscribe to my channel and hit the little bell icon down there so you get notifications every week when I post new videos. You guys can follow me on Instagram at Ben Eller Guitars or on Facebook over at my new Facebook fan page at facebook.com/UncleBenEller. If you're interested in booking some one-on-one Skype lessons with me, be sure to drop me an email, benellerguitars@gmail.com, and I'll get back to you as fast as I can. Thanks again for watching. Now get away from this damn computer and go play some guitar. Less clicking, more picking.